I meet really cool people. Like really cool people.
Wait, I'm going to stop you right there because you said
you're a
really cool
person.
people.
Yeah. I said you're one of the cool people.
I don't know about that, but thank you. So I've got a picture here.
Oh, is that?
Do you know who this is?
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to On Air with Allie Balloons. I'm Karen.
And I'm Andrew, and today we are here with Julia Vu from the event community. So Julia leverages 7 years of event industry experience, having worked for high-profile events for Jack Morton and Google. She used her Instagram to start a platform to bring California vendors together, and seeing a need for a central hub, she expanded it to become the event marketplace known as the event community. So welcome, Julia. Thank you for being on the show. We were very impressed with what we saw, at your last event, which we attended, and thank you for taking the time to be here.
No, thank you guys for sponsoring all the balloons for the event. If y'all haven't seen it, I think she's gonna post a video of it. But it was amazing. You walk in and it's just like, wow, balloons in your face. There's balloons on the left side. It goes on the ceiling, and then it connects to the main stage. So thanks to LA Balloons, y'all were able to make that happen for us. So
We were happy to
very
be there.
grateful.
And we will post some pictures to show everything about that event because it really was like, wow.
From an idea to this, the event community's 4th birthday is just an example of what's possible when a community comes together. 33 event businesses, an amazing event planner, 4 expert panelists, and 3 event sponsors all collaborated with us to create a free event at full capacity for 150 professionals, well-known and brand new to the event industry. You might just know our Instagram, but the event community is actually a tech startup. We showed a secret sneak peek of our prototype with features unlike anything else on the market. And gosh, the feedback we got, overwhelmingly positive and validating. Thank God. We're so proud to be an innovative early stage tech startup, creating a marketplace that aggregates all event planners, vendors, venues, event services, you name it, onto one platform. And we are beyond grateful for your support. Together, we're not just building a new marketplace, we're creating a movement for change. Cheers to 4 years, and I guess we'll see what happens next year when we turn 5.
And we're going to get to know you a little bit better, what kind of got you into where you are now, and what you're doing. And you've got an interesting story, and I've got a surprise little note I just found out 10 minutes ago.
Surprise little note.
FYI, it's not on the outline.
Okay. I like surprises.
But before we start, we do have a little game for you.
Okay.
So before we get into the nitty gritty, Karen, let us know the game.
It's going to be like a little icebreaker. It's a little different from the one that we usually do, but we thought this one would be fun. First question is, are you like Gen Z, millennial? Are you?
So when I get asked this question, I'm like, I'm in the middle. So
Okay.
I'm a 97er, and I think it's called Zillennial.
Oh.
I think that's it's like a really short window because I grew up with VCR, but then I also grew up with phone. So it's like right in the middle. It's
I call
super
myself
short.
an X-lennial.
X-lennial.
So
Okay.
you're like a Z millennial,
Zillennial?
and I'm like a...
I don't know if 97 is in it, but I identify as that.
Okay. Now that we've got that straight, okay.
The game is to see how well you know some of the slang words that are out right now.
Oh, God. All right.
So let's see how well you do. Some of these are words, and then one of these is a phrase.
Okay.
The one that's popular right now is "In the club, we all fam."
In the club? Okay, yeah.
That's what I said.
In the club, we all fam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, in the...
What is
I
that?
have no idea what that means. I mean, in the club... What?
That's what I want to say. I want to say in the club. It's like in the
I
club.
know in the club.
Okay.
Yeah, like, it's just quirky, but...
Yeah, it's like a TikTok video, so it's
Okay.
just going around right now where it's like in the club, we all fam.
What?
But
So,
it's basically
okay.
like
What does that mean?
Yeah,
in the club, we are all family. Is what
That's
okay.
okay.
I
It's
mean,
literally
okay,
what
yeah.
it is.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what unk is?
Unk?
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I really am not Gen Z. Like, oh my God, what is unk?
Unk is uncle.
Okay.
That one I knew.
Okay, so it just seems like,
Like
they're
someone
shorter.
older.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Demure.
Okay, demure is like, how do you even put demure into words. It's just like you're sophisticated. You're
Classy.
like not trying too hard.
Yeah.
You're classy.
Okay. Riz.
Riz, okay. I got Riz. No, I've been in a relationship for 6 years.
That means that you have Riz. All right.
Riz too. Riz actually it came from the word charisma. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
charisma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delulu.
Delulu. I'm Delulu. Yes, delusional. Actually, for the event, that was like a joke that I would say with Hello Pretty Events because we were both up till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. messaging each other because we were working so hard for the event on like zero sleep, and so we're like, "You Delulu girl, I'm Delulu girl."
Sus.
Sus is like suspicious.
Okay. T.
T is like drama, like what is it?
the
Chisme?
chisme?
Yeah, chisme.
Gossip. Okay.
Girl math.
Girl math.
Do you subscribe to Girl Math?
I sometimes do girl math. I had a friend who was like, yeah, like I didn't pay for a ticket for this event, so I used all that money to buy me a bunch of purses. And I was like,
That would I agree.
Girl math.
girl math.
Salty.
Salty is like you are kind of a little like upset. It's like, I don't know how to put it into words. You're just kind of like
bitter, I think. Right?
bitter.
Bitter.
But
Yeah.
it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shook.
Shook is like, you're just like shocked. You're just shocked by something.
Okay. And
To
then
the
the
point where you
last
shake.
one, goat.
Goat is greatest of all time.
Woo!
All right.
Okay.
Wow.
All
Okay,
right.
too
You did good.
bad.
Started off a little rocky, but then I think
Yeah.
we got the last 70, 80% of them.
I had to ask the staff for some of these because I'm like, what? What does this mean? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it means, this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm not from your generation.
Okay, I
so.
didn't fail. I didn't fail.
Bonus. What does mid mean? And can you use that in a sentence?
Mid is like you go to a restaurant and the food is mid because it's not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's just in the middle.
Ah, okay. I had to ask someone at the
You had
gym
to ask?
that like a few weeks ago, and like
Yeah.
they use it in a sentence, and I was like, they're talking about their headphones, and they're like, I was like, oh, how do you like those headphones? And they're like, they're mid, and then I was like, huh?
Yeah. The slang and even just like texting where people are like, YK.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, or I saw one yesterday where it was like ROD. My sister was like, do you know what that
ROD?
means? Yeah.
ROD.
I don't know what ROD is.
Ride or die.
Right.
Oh, are you right?
The other one
Right.
was MBN.
NBN.
MBN.
Oh, MBN?
What is MBN?
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
I saw it and I was like, huh? She's like, you know what that means? I was like, no. Must be nice.
What's funny is my mom will text me these things.
Oh,
'cause
really?
she's on TikTok way more than I am.
Oh.
I'm like,
That's
what,
wild.
What does that mean?
Your mom is cool. We did good. That was a good icebreaker. That was the first time we've done it. So
Yes.
you did really
That's
well.
a new one. I was hesitant at first, and then we played the game before you came in. I was like, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, it was cool.
Cool.
So tested
All right.
Andrew on it too. So
So, before we kind of get into this, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before you're doing what you're doing right now with the event community? So, like, what is the history behind you?
Yeah. I mean, how far do we want to go back? You know?
Let's go post college.
Post college. Well, actually, here, I'll start off with a really fun fact about how I got into the event industry or how I dreamed of coming into the event industry. So, when I was a little kid, I want to say like 8 years old, I used to watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? You know Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I always dreamed of going to the chocolate factory, right? And there's no way that you can do it unless you're in the event industry and you create that experience. And so I feel like that kind of love and desire to be in this like completely immersive world helped me realize that it was like my inner passion to do immersive experiences. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so when I was in college at UC Riverside, I was such a creative person. They kept putting me in the events team. And I was like, I'm a business major, like I want to do marketing. I want to do putting me in events. I know I'm good at it, but
Marketing.
marketing, like let me try finance, even though I'm not good with numbers. Like I just wanted to try different business things. And my dad was telling me, he was like, I was watching this show and yeah, like these event planners, they do like big dinner parties for realtors and they make lots of money. And I said, oh, okay, interesting, interesting. He's like, yeah, and if you're good at something and people are noticing it, like, why are you trying to stray away from something you're naturally good at? And that's when it started getting me thinking. And so I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the event industry, but I joined an event organization at UC Riverside, and they do campus-wide events. So I got to do like music festivals. I got to do small events. I got to do like lectures, all different types of events. And I really fell in love with it. And that's actually where I met my boyfriend, because he's in the music industry now too. So that's kind of how my event journey started. And then I even did events for the School of Business, but the master's program. So I hosted their like first ever open house event and stuff like that, all as like a little 19-year-old, So that's kind of how I got started in the event industry. And then one day someone was like, hey, have you heard of experiential marketing? I think you'd be really good at that. And do you know what experiential marketing is?
Uh-huh. I'd worked at Under Armour, so we actually had...
Can you guys explain that? Because I don't know what it is.
So experiential marketing, you can do a lot of different things, but events is a big part of it. And that's where you think of like brand activations and stuff. So it's basically creating an experience around branding.
The marketing is the experience. So
yeah, the marketing is the experience.
outside of an ad that you see on TV, social media, or like a billboard, like typical or static classic type ads, it's something where someone kind of walks into and experiences something.
Like it has like a personal connection with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So someone told me about that, and then I looked into it, and Jack Morton was one of the top. I think last year they were named the #1 experiential marketing, I think worldwide. I think so. So they want something really amazing. And so I said, okay, that's my dream job. They did incredible, huge events, activations for Nike, Google, Facebook. And I applied for an internship there, and I got it. So I got it, and I worked, and I freelanced with them for a long time. And my main client was Google, and we did crazy, crazy events, like multi-million-dollar events. Incredible, right? Everything you want, like it can happen. But I wasn't happy. I felt like I wasn't really making the impact that I wanted to make. In college, I was the president of Future Business Leaders of America. And I really touch people on a personal and professional level. And in doing these big, wide-scale events, it didn't connect that way. I felt very removed from the people that I was creating the event for.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so during 2020, when COVID happened, I had a lot of time to twiddle my thumbs. And as you heard during the Event Community's or I don't know if I mentioned it this year, but the Event Community came to me as an idea in the shower. It was a shower thought.
Where all the best ideas
All
come
the
from.
best.
That's where I started making masks in the shower. I learned how to sew and make masks because of a shower.
That's great. That's great for you.
It's like, it's going to take a week to get one. I'm just going to make it.
Well, anyway, so I got this idea in the shower. I was like, why isn't there somewhere that aggregates all these vendors at once? Because even on the level of doing events for Google, it's like, hey, do you know someone? Do you know someone? Do you know someone? And
So even those bigger companies are still going based off of word of mouth and networking.
It's a lot of it is word of mouth. It's a lot of personal knowledge. And then there is a directory like within the company that you can access. But I think it goes underutilized a lot. And it's more so quicker just to like, oh yeah, I remember this person, or somebody. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of how the idea came to be. And I remember getting the thought in the shower, just feeling so overwhelming. And I was like, I think this is what I'm meant to do. I think this is what I'm really meant to do. And so I started the event community on Instagram because that's all I knew, and it went viral. We got thousands of followers every single week. And we got vendors and small businesses telling me like, thank you so much for promoting my business, because now I can keep the lights on, and now I can feed my children. Now I can do this, and this. And that's the impact that I was looking for, that was really purposeful for me. And so not only am I solving this bigger problem of providing a central hub that better connects people, but I'm providing these small businesses a place and tools for them to grow, both personally and professionally. And I just find a lot of purpose in that. So yeah, that's kind of how the event community came to be. And my story before the event community. Yeah.
How do you go from like that shower idea to now saying like, I'm going to execute it? So like you started on Instagram, then like, what did you do from there?
It's been a long process. I've been in it for 4 years now. So 4 years ago on August 8th, I started that Instagram page. And there was a lot of work just to set up that Instagram page. So I guess from transferring it from an Instagram page to an actual product, I had to learn a lot about the tech industry, a lot. And actually, when I launched the current event community website right now, it was actually supposed to just be like a tester website. And we have like 500 businesses listed on there organically. I've never really promoted it or anything. People just find it. I can't tell you the steps because there's a bajillion steps. I think the first thing I did was I went to YouTube school, YouTube for education.
University.
Yeah, YouTube
I love
University. And the only thing out there was stuff about starting event directory pages, or directory pages in general. And so that was kind of why we started the event community first website as a directory page. And then as I got to learn more about the tech industry, as I talk more to this is like not sexy to talk about, for like a creative audience, but like I talk to like software developers and I understand like the behind the scenes and how to build a website and the user experience. This can get super techy, but basically I had to relearn a whole new industry. I felt like I was like a master of the event industry. And then it was just so like shell shocking entering something where I knew nothing about and I had to know everything about. And it's hard too, because I keep this all behind the scenes. Like I don't talk about this on the event community as, like I said, it's not like super cool to talk about in a creative industry. Like no one wants to hear about coding and like all this stuff or how it works. But truly like I don't know how familiar you are with building websites. But every corner of a button is a discussion. Every font, every size, every spacing. And that's how much it takes. People don't realize it. But as I learned it, you take it for granted. They're like, oh, like, yeah, you just go through all these apps and stuff easily. But
Did any of your previous experience correlate to the things that you needed to do to build the event community?
I would probably say, I think it's a lot of my leadership skills that transferred over and my savviness that kind of got me there. Because again, like I knew nothing on how to build this. I think being at UC Riverside, there were a lot of really strong organizations that I learned a lot of leadership skills from, where I could get people on board. I needed a team. I can't do this by myself. I don't know how to code. I wish I could. It'd make my life a lot easier. But I think that, and I think my marketing skills, I got a degree in marketing. And so creating a brand was really natural for me. The orange of the event community that has stuck since the beginning, and that was super intentional.
Why orange?
So orange, it's funny because growing up, I thought orange was like the most ugly color ever. But
that's one of our staple colors.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. But actually, so orange has a deeper meaning for me as well. Orange has kind of followed me throughout my life. So I chose the orange for the event community, not just because it's personal to me, but because I think it represents creativity. It's also neutral. It's not pink, like pink is more feminine of what society says. I wanted it to be a little bit more neutral in between, but also pop. So creativity is what I wanted to represent. But personally for me, my backstory with orange, so growing up, my grandpa, before he passed away, he would, I was the first grandchild, and he used to bring me oranges to play with. Yeah, really cute, right? And then I grew up in Orange County. And then I went to UC Riverside, which is home of the orange. And then I went to Jack Morton, which their color is also orange. And so orange has just been like a consistent thing throughout my life, even though I thought it was a nasty color at first. I love it now. Orange is my color.
Like that's like your color that you're going in the right direction. Like if it's not orange, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Do you have any inspiration? So like during this building process, there's a lot of times, or I imagine that there can be a lot of times where you would maybe want to quit or stop, or like, this is too much. Like, what am I doing? Do you have any business inspirations or other people that you look up to? And what kind of kept you going to the point where you are now?
Yeah.
And I know you have bigger plans for the future, but what is some of those?
Yeah. I mean, this is something that I think any business owner can relate to. Like it's truly a sacrifice and it's truly a struggle. everyone can agree social media is like the best of what you have, right? But behind the scenes, it takes a lot of crying, it takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of sweat. And it's hard as an early stage startup. I'm doing this and I've been bootstrapping the whole time, which means I'm putting my own money into this. And, you know, and quite frankly, like the event community doesn't make me a lot of money. It's because like it was our tester website, you know, and so we've been testing it and seeing. And so I have to do what I have to do to keep my side hustles, to keep like the lights on, right? So that's the very real side of being like an early stage startup founder. What has kept me going, honestly, is the people around me. I think people really underestimate like what your friends and family can do for you. But my friends and family truly believe in me. They believe in the event community, and that's what's kept me going. My inspirations that I look at are Melanie Perkins. She's a creator of Canva.
Oh.
Yeah. She's the founder and CEO of Canva. She's been the founder and CEO since she was like in college. But she has a similar background, or I resonate with her story. I think I come from a place like her. She started it in college, and she really had no connections, no nothing to the tech industry. And she put herself out there so much, and just pushed and just pushed. And then it just takes one person to believe in you. And she made it, and she's still running it today, and she's super innovative. I use Canva every single day, and I'm assuming a lot of people in the event industry use it a lot. And so her story coming from nothing in the tech industry to something, to someone who inspires others, that's what I look up to, and that what pushes me as well. Like if she can do it, I can do it.
It's funny. Karen uses Canva.
I do. I use it. I use it a lot here when we're trying to just mock up something.
Yeah.
And I've seen like the balloon artists, like they do it to do their mock-ups for their clients. So Canva is a tool that's for sure used in this industry. So I didn't know that's cool.
And actually, I didn't know much about actually who was behind Canva, to be honest. I always thought that they were kind of like,
Bunch of tech nerds. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. But like, you know, Adobe and Photoshop, like that was kind of like the next best one, I feel like, right?
No, so it's incredible because I kind of, again, part of why I resonate with her is she started this as a college student, and she's going up Adobe. She's going up against, you know, Photoshop, all that good stuff, like these big guys. And they look at her back then, and they're like, there's no way. There's no way.
Like you can't make a dent in.
You can't make a dent. And that's kind of how I feel right now is like I am put up these two big competitors. Well, there's many of them, but these big competitors, and I really think that I've got a shot, you know, more than a shot. And people believe in us. I mean, I'm here sitting with you guys today. Like you guys support what we do, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. But yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
How many of these events, because we attended this last one that you had, how many of those have you like organized and like done?
So that was only the second one.
Okay.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, oh God, how are we going to top this next year?
And there was a lot of there was a lot of vendors. There was a lot of detail. It was very upscale. Like you could tell that there was truly like
A lot of work and
every aspect of the event was addressed.
yeah.
I can't take credit for that. That was Hello Pretty Events, and she was
Cam.
incredible. Yes. Shout out to Cam. She every single detail she took care of. And again, we were Delulu together. It was nice because like I kept asking her, I was like, have you ever had a client like me? Like I'm really involved. She's like, no, I haven't, but it's nice. So it almost felt like we were like, it was just natural. The synergy was there in us planning it. Yeah.
How do you go about like finding who it is that you work with, like the vendors that were there, like how did they get selected, or how did they participate, and how did you come with having Cam organize the event for you?
So how we went about it is we reach out to our pro members first. So in the event community, there's different tiers of memberships. There's a free one. Obviously, I want it to be accessible to everyone. And then there's a pro membership where you like do a subscription. And so we went through the opportunity to all of our pro members first. We kind of put it out there before we even told anybody, you know, that the event community 4th birthday was happening, got people on board there. Then we opened it to our free members. And then after that, it was like, okay, if there's any extra slots that are unfilled, then we'll reach out to people who are not necessarily on the event community yet, but we would love for them to come on to the event community. So that's kind of how like the ranking that we went about it. We wanted to prioritize like our members first. Yeah.
And then in terms of like with Cam, how did you guys form that relationship to like I guess, organize the entire thing?
Yeah. So Cam and I had been, I had been featuring Cam's work on my page, on Instagram page since we started, and
She's very good.
She's very good. Yeah.
We noticed her work too.
She's also won a couple of awards on the Event Community Award Show. So people have voted for her as I think it was Event Planner of the Year and all that stuff. So I had to hand deliver her actual award to her house, and so that we had conversations from there. And I had her number, and when I was thinking of someone to plan the event community's birthday, I reached out to a couple of event planners, but she responded to me immediately and was like, yes, thank you for asking me, yes. And I was like, wow, I'm so blessed. Like, so
That's funny. We had the similar reaction when we reached out to her.
Yeah.
The first time.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but she was pregnant and
Yeah.
there was flight plans, so
Yeah.
that didn't work out at that
She's
time.
so awesome. She's so awesome.
So
We always do
so
that.
can you describe the event community?
Yeah.
Just what is it? What do you offer? I know you just mentioned a couple tiers
Yeah.
of what's available.
Yeah.
But who is going to want to join the event community and why? And what does the event community give them, kind of quote unquote, in return?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the event community right now, we're big on Instagram. We have 35,000 followers on Instagram. I think it's 35,500 right now, which is incredible. And that's been our strong suit. And then, as I mentioned, we built that tester website that came out. That's gotten really popular, and that's where the subscriptions are. What we're pivoting to become is an event services marketplace. And so our goal is to connect people, anybody. I like to call them normies like you and I, or maybe a dad who doesn't know how to plan an event, right? Connect normies to planners, vendors, venues, any event service that you need, right? But easier. We're dabbling with different ways to show matching or show maybe AI or all this stuff. Again, I can't reveal our secrets, but but showing people results that are actually relevant to what they're looking for. So for the normies like you and I, who just want to plan a birthday party, but more so for the businesses themselves, the businesses in the event industry, because the businesses in the event industry are both looking for services and they offer them. So not only are we connecting people, they're looking for each other, but for businesses, we connect them with clients and we connect them to each other because they can get more business with each other, right?
So they can build that network.
So they can build that network.
Referrals.
Exactly. Referrals. Because in the event industry, as you know, everything is by word of mouth. Everything is by referrals. And so we're really focused on building those connections so that you can make more business. Our goal at the end of the day is to help these businesses grow, which means more clients if they want it. That doesn't necessarily mean some businesses don't want more clients, So whatever their goals are, it could be more clients. It could just be brand awareness, It could be, down the road, far, far down the road, hopefully not that far. I do imagine having a fund to help these small businesses meet their goals, or having a big space so that small businesses can come and do their balloons, because a lot of them are doing it in their living rooms,
I've
so
thought about
that's far future. Yeah. That's far future, but at the core of it, what we do is we help people connect and we help small businesses grow.
Okay, so you just mentioned that there were some secrets that you
Yeah.
want to keep. And with that kind of in mind, I do want to pivot to this topic because I do feel like you feel strongly about it.
Yeah.
Gatekeeping. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about it? Why do you feel so strongly?
I hate gatekeeping.
Okay.
So
That was my guess.
Yeah. So our event community 4th birthday event, the whole theme was no gatekeeping, opening the doors to opportunities, or opening the gates to opportunities. And our whole motto with the event community is community over competition, right? There's no need to keep secrets in this industry because someone else's success doesn't necessarily hinder your own success. Everybody can succeed in the same space because everyone should be doing something a little bit different. Or if you're doing something the same, then there's just so much demand for it that everybody can share. And so gatekeeping knowledge is I don't know, it's almost silly to me. We're going to figure it out anyways. It's going to take us a little longer to figure it out if you don't share, but we're going to figure it out anyways. And why do that when we can go together? My favorite favorite saying, and I actually get this book for my team members who join on. It's called Together is Better. So it's by Simon Sinek, and it says like,
Love him.
yeah, I love Simon Sinek. So it says, he said something like,
He's like a
know who that
business
is.
coach and mentor.
he says, to go fast, you go alone, but to go far, you go together. So it's all, yeah, truly. And, you know, in startup stuff too, it feels like a lot of stuff is gatekeeping, but you find these communities who are trying to not gatekeep as well. And truly like, yeah, your success doesn't mean that I'm not going to be successful. Let's just succeed together. And oftentimes, like when you work together, you find partnerships together in the future that make you even stronger and bigger than you could be.
So just playing devil's advocate, and
Yeah.
I can definitely see the rationale for both sides.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who would say, in order for the industry to succeed and keep moving forward,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of smaller balloon businesses who have trouble asking for the right price.
Okay.
So like, okay, I'm a small balloon business and there is this, I guess, stereotype or this thought that like balloons are cheap and like, why are you going to invoice me or quote me $800 for these balloons?
Right.
Okay. And they're kind of stuck at the lower end because they're beginning and they're scared to ask for more. By putting out all of the trade secrets and the how-tos and maybe the end user now seeing how it's done and the different techniques, does that kind of diminish, I guess, the allure, the magic behind the balloons and these setups? You know, like whether you're doing floral, whether you're doing balloons, whether you're just doing rentals, a lot of times when you kind of go back to the source, you know, it's just someone being creative with an object. Like you can take a piece of wood and it could be scrap wood. You can take a piece of wood and sculpt it into something that you sell for, you know, $100. You can take that same piece of wood and it could be worth $5,000 if you're
Yeah.
some amazing sculptor or artist, right? So the value that you put on it is you, but a lot of times you take away that veil, so to speak, and you're like, oh, like the balloons only cost this much. And the labor, it was only like 2 or 3 hours. And then the fishing line, whatever. So what would you say to those people who would say like trade secrets is part of any industry in order to be successful?
Well, okay. So my first thoughts are,
Or paying for the classes or paying for knowledge or education and just overtime learning as opposed to the free share of knowledge.
right. I mean, it's true. Every industry is going to have its trade secrets. And it's not necessarily industry. I think it's per company. Per company, they have their trade secrets on what makes them unique and what makes them different. I think each small business should operate like that. Like what makes them unique that nobody else can copy, right? And I think that's where a lot of small businesses don't think. They don't think about like, oh, what does make me really unique or different? Like what is it about my style, or what is it about my customer experience? Or what is it throughout the whole process that makes me unique that people are willing to pay for, right? So that's the first thing. I think like businesses should hone in on what makes them unique, right? Secondly, the topic that I wanted to touch on what you said is businesses do struggle with their pricing a lot. I think the average person, the normies, you know, we do want like the best price, and we can't help that, you know. People are not educated to know how much balloons will actually cost. And so I think it's, you know, our job as an industry to kind of educate people on how much balloons are appropriately priced at. But there is a niche for everybody, right? Like some people do offer balloons at a discount or like a lower price point, and that works out for them. And they get more clients that way. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to be successful with the lower price point, right? Like there's candies at different price points. There's like Reese's, you get it for $1, and then there's Godiva, and you get it for like, I don't know how much Godiva is. Everyone plays a role. Everyone plays a role, and you just need to decide which niche you want to fill. If you want to fill a higher niche at a higher price point, then you need to deliver, right? In terms of the free sharing of knowledge, I think you know, a lot of industries have that. Like, yeah, we can teach you how to do balloons. We can teach you where to get the balloons. We can teach you all the techniques of the balloons. But that doesn't eliminate the factor of how much time it's going to take to do those balloons, how much time it's going to take to learn those skills, how much equipment it takes. Like, you need like the bags, you need a truck, you got to bring it. If you're willing to do that, then that's fine. Do your own balloons, you know? That's just like anything, like food. We could make our own food, but why do we go out to go eat at restaurants, right? Like a simple burger. We could make burgers, or we go to, okay, the biggest, not scam, and I still go to these. I think brunch is a scam.
The term brunch.
I think brunch is a
That's
scam.
funny.
Like you get eggs, you can cook eggs at home. But it's the vibe. You go for the vibes,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
You go for the vibes, you go for the people. And so everyone knows how to cook eggs. I hope everybody knows.
That's funny. You know, saying like going to lunch versus going to brunch does give a different kind of
It's
like.
a different vibe.
Yeah.
You know? It's what you make of it. And so that's kind of, I guess, it's my counter of giving like all this free information. Like, it's out there. People know it. People will eventually figure it out. But are they willing to do it? No. It's maybe it's not even willingness. It's like, do they have the actual time to do it? No, and that's why you pay for these services, right? That's why you go out to brunch, because you don't have time to cook for like 10 of your friends. So that's also part of what you're paying for. It's not necessarily the creativity or, you know, the balloons itself, but it's the time, it's the labor, it's the tools, it's all of it.
So I'm thinking back to some of the stories or things I've seen online with other people just talking about gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I heard somebody say like they were asked, you know, how to do this or how to do that, and something that they're known for or good at. And they didn't want to respond. And
Yeah.
it was a trade secret, and it was something that they had learned and they had kind of honed in, and it was particular to their business, and they didn't want to share it. With knowledge like that, is that what you're referring to in terms of gatekeeping, or like, no, that person should kind of keep their style or that technique or that thing to themselves because that's something that makes them unique?
Yeah. I don't think things are black and white. I never see things as black and white. Like, sure, there are some things that you want to keep a secret, and that's fine.
Because that trial and error time too, like
Exactly.
that's, you know, if I was doing a trial and error, no one's teaching me, that's going to take me a lot of time. And
Exactly.
I would hold that to be very valuable. So unless you
Right.
want to pay me, like I can see why someone would say, hey,
Right.
I sell classes on how to do this technique. I'm not just going to tell you over a text message or something.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair, and that's why people have classes, is because that knowledge is valuable, right? And that's completely fair. I think in those situations, and again, like I can imagine as business owners, like people are really busy, and a lot of people are kind of texting them this information. Like, be kind of socially aware too. Like, okay, like why should this person give me this information, right? Like what should I offer in return? Or, you know, like, you're giving me value. How can I give value too? So like, kind of like viewing it like that, you know, nobody's just going to help you out just for free, you know, unless they think that it can benefit themselves somehow. Very nice people will, but it probably will be things that are, again, like not super like trade secrets to them. But I was going to say, what was I going to say? I was gonna say like if you as a business owner encounter people asking you these things, and maybe it's not necessarily something you want to share, or that's something that you offer for like a price, right? For example, what's helpful to mentor and guide people and to help them get there is to ask them the right questions to get them thinking. So I recently got a mentor. And I really love him because he doesn't tell me answers, right? He trains me to think in a way where I can figure it out myself. And so, I don't know, you can set up other people up with success without giving people answers. So ask them, give them the right questions to think about, give them different points, milestones that they need to reach in order to get those answers. But that's kind of how I view things.
Like, it's like therapy. You go to therapy and they're not
Yeah,
going to necessarily tell you like what's wrong or why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
Exactly.
They're asking you questions to make you think, to figure out, for you to basically come up with the
Figure it
final
out
answer.
yourself. Yeah.
So
you have the best answer for yourself. You can figure it out. Part of figuring out is a journey. So yeah, if you're a business, I would say like that's maybe a good way to approach it.
So you just mentioned mentor, which is great because we talked about that in one of our previous episodes.
Okay.
How did you find it? What is that value to you?
Yeah.
Is it just recently, or have you had this for
Super
a while?
recently,
Okay.
like last week.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Why did you feel the need to get one? Because I do think it's important. I think it's a good
yeah. I mean, I'm always looking for mentors and advisors. I think it's, like you can't know everything yourself. And I'm also really young and I'm also new to the industry. And I'm not afraid to tell people I don't know things, I mean, I think me not being afraid to be vulnerable and say like I don't know is what attracted him to me. So I got invited to the Tech Coast Angels Ventures, like a screening process where we were listening to different startups pitch their product, and I happened to sit next to him. And we just kind of chatted it up, just like very friendly. And after it all ended, we had a 2-hour conversation, just like life, things that he's been doing, things, he was just picking my brain, asking me different questions. And he kept asking me to the point where I said, I don't know. And he said, I like that you don't know. You're strong enough to admit that you don't know, but I got you thinking, and I don't know the answer either, but I just want you to, think to the point where you don't know, and then maybe we can get to a point together where we figure out an answer. And so it just kind of started off as a conversation, but because I thought the way that he helped me was so special and so unique, I love people who challenge my thinking. I love it. And so I asked him, I said, hey, on the whim, I wasn't actively searching for a mentor, but because I stumbled across this really wise man, I was like, are you open to having mentees? Are you mentoring people right now? And he said yes. And so after that, we just followed up with a few calls. And then he asked me before we met up for coffee or something, he was like, what are your expectations for our meeting, right? I said, well, I'm really hoping that I can be like one of your mentees. And he said, girl, I would not be talking to you right now if I didn't think that you could be my mentee. I enjoy talking to you, and yes, so that's kind of how the relationship began. And again, this all happened last week.
Now we need to follow up in 6 months and just follow up
See
how.
the progress.
Yeah, I mean, but every conversation I have with him has been so, has given me so much progress and thought about the event community and how I approach it. So it's been already super helpful. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stuff that you have mentioned, as you're mentioning things, it's important because a lot of people are scared of saying asking for help with anything. And the fact that you are not scared to do that speaks highly of you.
Thank you.
And to be able to show that to everybody that you are where you're at, but you've obviously gone through obstacles and have gone through stuff. What do you have, I guess, a story of something that has kind of made you think I'm going to quit or I'm going to keep going? Anything that you a story that kind of stands out to you throughout your journey?
Well, firstly, to touch on what you said about being vulnerable, thank you. I wasn't always like that. I really wasn't. I think when I started the event community, I felt very insecure, and I didn't want to show people that I didn't know everything and that we weren't this big old company behind the scenes. Which is part of the reason why I didn't show my face for a long time on the event community. I was only 23 when I started the event community. And every time I told someone that I was 23, I'm 5'1". I'm a little girl, I was afraid that people weren't going to take me seriously. And so I kind of hid myself away for a long time, but became confident enough in a few years later to be open and say screw it. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to show myself. I'm going to admit to everything I don't know, because when I admit to things I don't know, people will help me know, and if people don't help me know, then I just got to figure it out myself, So yeah, I think vulnerability is super strong, and that's something that I had to learn over time. But going back to your question, what was your question?
Do you have a story? Yeah.
The story of someone or myself who has failed?
Really any story that you want to share that has kind of either kept you going, or did you ever have a moment where you're kind of is this for me? Is this not for me? Or just anything like that?
I guess a moment of struggle during the process
Yeah.
of building it.
I guess being completely vulnerable and completely honest, a moment where I almost was like, I don't know if I can do this, was because I had saved a lot of money after working with Google and Jack Morton, and I was using all of that to fund the event community. And I had a worker on there. I love her to death, but paying her was a lot, right? Paying her was a lot when money wasn't returning as much, and I wasn't paying myself. And I was, really, really struggling because she was getting like a good paycheck, but I wasn't. And I was getting to the point where I was like, I'm getting real dry. I'm getting real dry here. And this is really scary for me because I think I have like $200 in my bank account, which is insane, right? And so I had to figure it out. I got a part-time job, which sucks because it takes a lot of time away from me building the event community. But it's flexible enough for me to go and to basically choose the days that I want to work. So, I don't think a lot of people talk about doing things part-time to keep themselves afloat. It's still, in startups too, I think that's kind of on the hush hush too, because people feel almost embarrassed that they have to. I still kind of feel like, I don't tell people on the event community that I have something going on the side, because I want to do this full time, but that's the reality of it. I have to keep myself afloat somehow. And in doing so, honestly, it was the best thing for me because I became more stable. And so I could focus on the event community. So something that I thought was taking away from my time did help me in the end. It was beneficial, but financially it was rough. And that was, I have no doubt that I want to do the event community, but the financial side is probably the thing that really, really, makes me question. I'm like, oh my God, this is tough, So that's the very real answer.
I think that's actually very common, and especially for any business that's trying to grow. Once you start hiring people and paying a paycheck, and aside from the overhead and buying supplies and different things that you need,
Stressful.
everyone goes through that point.
Yeah.
But on the opposite side, what's your most favorite part about being an entrepreneur and building this whole thing together?
I meet really cool people. Really cool people.
Wait, I'm going to stop you right there because you said really cool people.
Yeah. So you're one of the cool people.
I don't know about that, but thank you. So I've got a picture here.
Oh, is that?
Do you know who this is?
I was like, that's Steve Aoki.
That's Steve Aoki.
Yeah.
You have a picture here, which I found recently,
Yeah.
with you at the Aoki Games and Gala in 2024. And you said, okay, I want to make an impact on people's lives. I want to do something bigger. And the best way to do it is to focus on what you love and build a community around it.
Yeah.
And that was at Steve Aoki.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about this meeting? And because I walked by him. I was 4 feet away from him in
really?
Vegas.
Yeah.
We were staying at the same hotel one time. And I was like, that's Steve Aoki.
Yeah.
And I came across this picture. And I was like, no way.
That's so funny. Well, that quote was what Steve said on stage.
Okay.
And
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he said on stage.
It sounds very similar to everything you've talked about today.
Yeah. And so I resonated with it so much, and that's why I wrote it down. I was like, this is what I believe in, right? If you want to do it, then you build community. So that event I got invited to, I meet really cool people in the tech industry. Last LA Tech Week, I call him my startup bestie. I met him, and basically he's gotten really big now, and he's close with Steve Aoki.
Wow.
Or
Okay.
he's doing business with Steve Aoki. And so I got invited, and I went on a whim. It was a super last minute thing, and I didn't have a ticket. And I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna get into this gala? I don't have a ticket, but I'm just gonna go just for the vibes and to hang out with my friend and see if there's any opportunities there. And so someone in his group he was a sponsor of the event. So someone in his group wasn't able to come anymore. And so it was the universe. He was like, take the ticket. So I said, yeah, okay, for sure. And so I went, because he originally invited me to go, but he didn't have enough spots. Because he only had a limited amount of spots. And so, so I went, I hugged Steve Aoki twice. He was like, hey, Julia, nice to meet you. And I was like, hey, Steve.
That's so cool.
He was a really, really nice guy.
Did they have his pizzas there at the gala?
Did they have what?
His pizzas?
No, they didn't. They didn't. They catered just like small bites there. But it was great. It was great. They had these like little like ping pong tables and stuff. But his foundation is incredible. They're doing a lot for brain science and brain health, trying to do a lot of research into either reducing or just like, curing dementia, Alzheimer's. They're even talking about things like extending like lifespan. So they're working on really, really amazing things. And so that event was incredible. Met even more amazing people there. But yeah, just being in the tech industry, just meeting people like that. It's really cool. And talking with people like that, they believe in what I do too, which is even more validating and incredible. I've met a lot of really awesome people through LA Tech Week this year as well. And so it's just all about networking. And in college, I would hear like, oh, like your network is your net worth. It's true,
It's
though.
true.
It's
true.
true.
I do think that
Yeah.
it's funny because even if you're not a social person,
Yeah.
it is important. And like, yes, there's outliers, and it doesn't mean that you can't make it on your own.
Yeah.
But in terms of having a career or a work life
Yeah.
like thing, 110%.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, the second time we've talked about networking and mentorship and the importance of that and how much of a role. So I don't know if people really focus on that aspect of it.
I don't
right?
think people do. We had an industry meetup for the Inland Empire on October 1st at Luxie Events. And I told them there, I said, the people who come out to the events are the people who make it, who make it big in their business because they know how important networking is. And they kind of all were like, oh, okay. I don't think they took it super seriously, but it's true. Like, I really mean that, like the people who are at the networking events are the people who want to make it. They want it bad.
And that can be in any industry.
Yeah. That could be any industry. That's just not just ours. It's any industry. So
How often do you go to these different events? Because it sounds like it's not just even like event related necessarily. A lot of it's tech related.
Yeah.
So obviously you're solidifying the fact that you're saying it's important. But
Yeah.
how often and how many of these events do you go to?
And how do
Yeah.
you find them? Like,
And where do I find them? Well, so when I first started the event community, I think I went a lot to the vendor events. Sometimes they do things like, they have like what is it called? Like a little, oh my God, why am I blinking out here? Like a little food fest or stuff like that, or they have a grand opening because they opened up a brick and mortar, or they're just working on together like this like big old style shoot event. So I would go and I would network with them, and those are great. Or just like industry meetups within the event community, and that has been really, really helpful because I want to build the event community in a way that like our vendors want it, So that's been helpful with feedback, and those I just being very, very grateful that the event community has so many followers, like they get sent to me directly. So people DM me and invite me to these things, and I said, okay, like I'll see if I can make it. But that's a while back. I haven't been to a lot because I reserve a lot of my time to go to tech events because that's what I need to grow the event community.
I see.
Yeah, and so I find these events because I'm a part of other communities. So I'm a part of this thing called Everything Marketplaces. And that's a community of founders and investors and everyone in between who's interested in growing marketplaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
that's
so
really cool.
I'm a part of that. I'm also a part of like the OC startup kind of like community. So there's this thing called Startup Council, and that's led by Scott Fox. And he's trying to push the no gatekeeping in startups. And I believe in that. And finding his newsletter has like all these events on there happening in Orange County for startups. So I go to things like that. And then also for LA Tech Week. So how often I go to these things? Lately, it's been a lot. Because we've been getting a lot of momentum. Like from actually that Steve Aoki event was probably the start of like when things really started happening for the event community, which is incredible. Wow. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw on our Instagram, I posted it yesterday, but we got accepted into Founder University.
Yes, I did see that.
Yes.
Congratulations.
And so, thank you so much. Only 10% of businesses got accepted. And so if I do my math right, I think that's 2,000 applicants.
Wow.
And only 200 of them get accepted. And so, it's just through networking that I learned about more events. But for LA Tech Week specifically, I know some people have gone to 8 events a day. Yeah, it's crazy
wow.
like that, right? Like it's
And
crazy.
they're all happening in the same day?
They're all happening the same day, but like again, there's 600 events happening in the whole week. Okay. And so you kind of like pick and choose what events you go to. Yeah. But the thing is, like, there's like a wait list for everything because it's super filled because everyone's trying to get into these events, right? And so at the beginning of the week, I only had one event that I got into. And so in getting into that event, I meet other people and they're like, oh yeah, like join, we can get you on the list. Or like, I'm the host of this event, come to this event. So yeah, so that's kind of how it works. And so that's kind of what I've been doing this whole week is just going to LA Tech Week events. I'm going to go to one this evening that's super cool. It's at Pluto. I think that's the name of the place, but it's a rooftop helipad. I'm really excited for that one.
That sounds cool. We need
cool.
pictures.
Last
Can we
year,
put that on the LA Balloons event calendar?
I know, in all these Tech Week events, I have not seen one balloon. I've not seen one balloon. So they're not, familiar with the event space or like the vendors that could make these events super incredible.
Yeah.
It's all just kind of like at a bar and then you drink. And there are like food vendors and stuff like demoing what they have. But decor wise, they could do a lot better.
Okay.
So your main focus is on building the event community.
Yes.
Have you ever taken any balloon classes, or have you ever tried or been interested in doing any balloon installations?
I have tried. And I have tried to understand like the balloon side. For example, like I'm not doing it because I don't believe in buying balloon services. I did it so to understand what balloon stylists go through. So I bought an Amazon kit, right? And I did it and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is why we need balloon stylists. Suck at this.
There is this 50-50. It's like you
Yeah.
either do it and then you
Yeah.
come to that conclusion,
Yeah.
or like, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I did it for educational purposes. I wanted that clear. But no, I haven't actually. So another reason why I decided to do the event industry too is because my aunt was a balloon stylist and a
Oh.
florist. Yeah. And that was her side hustle. She was like big old finance lady. I don't know what she does. But on the side, the company was like, oh, like our balloon stylist is out of town. Like, I don't know what we're going to do. And she just said, I'll do it. She didn't know what she was doing.
And then
she had no idea, but she learned and she did it. And then she started doing it because she did a good job and she did flowers for her own wedding because she's crazy. But she did an amazing job. And so that's kind of where I also got my entrepreneurial side from too, is seeing my aunt do that as a little kid. I helped her do the balloons as a kid. Yeah.
That's so
I
funny.
remember like us being there at 2 a.m. and putting glue in the foil balloons. Yeah. And like
Just
helping
stick-
her. And she's like, why is it not working? I was like, I don't know. That's probably my only experiences with balloons.
What do you think you would be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing now?
Oh man, I don't know. I probably would still be be in the event industry. Like now being in the startup world, I really do enjoy it a lot. I've always enjoyed mentoring people. I was a school business ambassador when I was in college, mentoring people, helping people. So I think I'd be still doing something like that, making an impact somehow in the event industry. Like I said, I loved doing events for Jack Morton and Google, but I just don't think it was purposeful enough for me in terms of like making that impact for people. Loved doing it, loved attending it. I think I love attending events more than I love doing them.
I am one of those people.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I know I see myself down the line like giving back to the startup community as an investor or as some kind of foundation, helping startups figure it out, because with no gatekeeping. But I don't know. The event community is my heart and soul right now. Can't imagine anything else.
Okay. Well, it's worked out for you so
Yeah.
far. So
Yeah.
let's hope it keeps growing and
Yeah.
see where it goes.
I know I'd be damned if it doesn't work out, because I'm like, oh God, what are you doing?
I think it's going to work
It's
out.
gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do believe in you.
Thank you.
And I've only met you twice.
Great.
But I've seen what you've done, and
Yeah.
I see the impact that you're making, and I do think you're making waves. So
Thank you.
honest thing there, really.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite motivational quote or like kind of mantra that you kind of live by that you tell yourself that you want to share?
I'm saying because there's a couple. Most recent one that's come up is that has been in conversation, especially at LA Tech Week, is fail, but fail fast. Yeah, failure is a good thing. Failure is a good thing. You learn from your failures. You learn from your mistakes, but you got to do it quickly so that you can
Get it over with.
get it over with and focus on the progress rather than the failure. So that's kind of the one that's been on my mind. I guess another one is actually here. I'm gonna steal this because I heard this at LA Tech Week by Sam Hook, and he is a songwriter from like really famous artists. But he said one of the best quotes that I have heard was, and I'm not gonna say this right. I'm gonna butcher it, but he was basically saying like, if you want to build a kingdom, how do you expect to build a kingdom if you've never been inside of a kingdom? If you're outside of a kingdom, at most, what you can build is a successful landscaping company, right? That's what he said. So he said, the first thing you need to do if you want to build a kingdom is enter a kingdom and see what's inside. Doesn't matter if you're a janitor. Doesn't matter if you're just wiping the windows. You need to see what it looks like inside. And that's true. Like, if you don't open your mind to what's really out there, well, not necessarily open your mind, but be exposed to different things. Because it's not necessarily your fault if you don't know what's inside, you know? But the first step is to enter a kingdom to see what kingdom that you can build for yourself. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Those are good. Yeah. What would be your best piece of advice for new and aspiring entrepreneurs?
For new and inspiring entrepreneurs, what is a good piece of advice? I'm trying to there's so many that I could say. I would say, wow, this one's hard. I'm trying to make it as impactful as possible. Do something, I guess, like what I'm doing. Do something that gives you purpose and makes you feel good, because you can go to a corporate job. You can get your money in other ways, but if you're starting a business, and that means that you need to be doing something that means something to you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be super deep, like making impact on people, but like you care about the impact that the business is going to make for whatever industry that you're a part of. So do something that gives you a sense of purpose. Otherwise, if it's not giving you purpose or satisfying you in some type of way, just go back to corporate, you know? So yeah, I guess do something that gives you purpose, figure out that purpose, and drive all of your work with your why. That's also Simon Sinek, start with why.
That one stuck with me for a long time. I never really talk about it or share it, but the importance of why is
start with why. Yeah.
It really does affect anything and everything.
Right.
And if you're looking for some sort of motivation, you kind of trace it back to
your why.
What is your why?
Yeah. I feel like that wasn't a super strong piece of advice, but I'm hoping it
was
resonates
good.
with
It was
some
good.
people.
I think overall everything that you've said will resonate with whoever's listening or watching.
I hope so.
Hey, if we can get at least one person, I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with
and
that.
I think that's the purpose of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's 2 viewers, because I'm going to go back and watch them. So I'll be that one.
I'll be the other one, so it'll be 3.
I think 4. I think that's the at least for me, being in these podcasts and getting to know a lot of the guests that we have on here. It's been very interesting to listen to everybody's stories, to ask you guys all these questions, and to get to know you guys. And everybody has a different why. Everybody has different ways of how they found their purpose and why they're doing what they're doing now.
Yeah.
And specifically with you, it's been very interesting. I feel like you're almost speaking to me. I was like, okay. So I think everybody that is listening will get
some kind of value.
Actually, I did think of an advice as you were speaking that inspired me. So I think everyone should really hone in on their strengths, recognize on your strengths. Like how I said, I was doing so good with events, but I was trying to stray away from something that I was just naturally good at. Hone in on the skills that you are just so easy to you, that are natural to you. Use those as your superpowers to move through business. My recent superpower that I have found is just my ability to talk to people. People tell me it's just really easy to talk to me. And so I'm building all these connections, and I get to form more connections with others. I'm like, oh, hey, have you met this person? Have you met this person? So that's been my superpower. It's just being myself, my own personality in a business world that's very sometimes can be very dry, you know? So yeah.
Can also be fun.
Yeah.
Do you have?
That's actually everything that I have.
Okay.
If you don't have, do you have any questions for us? Putting you on the spot. I know we weren't going to ask that question anymore, but I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I wanted to ask you, how did you get into LA Balloons? Like, how long have you been a part of it? Like, curious about your story too.
That's funny. You're going to have to
do a
go
whole
back to
episode of
season 1.
Andrew.
Talked about that.
So actually, I worked for Abercrombie & Fitch for 10 and a half years. I worked for Under Armour for 5 years.
Wow.
That's why I live in California now, in Southern California. I had moved from the East Coast. I'd originally moved up and down the East Coast, opening up stores all across the U.S.
Yeah.
And running them as a general manager. And that was where most of my experience came. I learned how to trade and invest in 2018.
Yeah.
I actually didn't have a quote unquote normal day-to-day job that I went to for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I got to go to the gym, I got to go to the beach, and I got to work on my own time.
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of anxiety in figuring out what to do with your spare time when doing
Yeah.
that. And for the first time ever, since I was 17, that's when I was 16. When I was 16, I think I started working. I actually started applying to jobs. And the first 2 weeks, I had gotten, offers at some things that kind of fit me a little bit better in like the gym and sports apparel world.
Okay.
And down the street was their LA Balloons. And I had met with the owner and Stephen Mayhew, the director of marketing, and we sat and talked. Actually, no, I met with the original general manager here first, who sold me on the job. And I came back the next day or 2 days later, and then I think we had a 3-hour interview
Wow.
the day of my engagement photo shoot.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And I went straight to the beach from there, wearing
Yeah.
what I was wearing, and that's where we took our pictures. But I do have a history of art, so painting, drawing, sculpture. I saw what balloon artists were doing with the product. To me, there was a lot of relevant experience and information from selling and customer service, training, hiring, staffing, loss prevention, all of these things that just transfer from, corporate retail into what we do here as a wholesale balloon distributor.
Right.
So there's a lot of carryover. But it's funny when you said like you learned how to do the balloons.
Yeah.
I learned how to do balloons because that is our customer and that's the person that we service. So
Educational purposes.
it really and truly is. So I call myself a recreational decorator.
I see.
I don't do the 7 events in a
Yeah.
weekend or a day, which I've heard some crazy stories and these giant installations. Do I like it? Do I love it? Do I have an appreciation for it? Yes. But that is how I kind of came in here. There was an interest in art, in building LA Balloons, the brand. I saw that there was an opportunity there for it to grow, and I could see where the vision of the owner was going, and I believed in it. And we have a very, very good team. I really do appreciate the relationship that me, Steve, and Karen have in terms of what we can do both creatively and operationally. And really proud of just being a part of what LA Balloons has become over the past 6 or 7 years. So that was in 2018.
Wow.
But besides from that, what I thought about balloons was balloons on a string in a carnival, spiral arches and things of that nature. But Deandra from Party Shop Avenue, ironically, she was one of the first decorators I was exposed to. I saw her portfolio and I was like, wow, this is what people who do balloons and events do now.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm happy that there is, I've been able to be exposed to the different techniques and the ways of building a lot of these structures. And to me, it's great. I don't know. I really do. Both operationally, being inspired by people like you and
Thank you.
no, but really, every time I go to a convention, every time I go to one of these things, every time I meet a new decorator, and they tell me their story, it's a big thing to start your own thing and then see it through.
Yeah. And see it through is a whole different story.
And even if it's 3 years, 6 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever, they all started somewhere. And I am always so inspired that they were able to make their own money, make their own living
Yeah.
through their creations. And I'm like, I can paint and I can draw, but I've never sold anything like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate this business because it is a combination of both.
Yeah.
How to sell, how to market, how to brand, but how to create, how to style, how to do art.
Yeah.
So that is how I got into the balloon industry.
I love that. That's awesome. It's the best of both worlds that you're both good at.
I think to me it made a lot of sense. I was like,
Yeah.
you probably do, if like you're looking for someone to add to the team. I was like, it makes sense that you have someone who can understand what you want to do in terms of business, but also what you want to do in terms of supporting the creative customers that you do have. So I'm happy to be here. And now we've got a whole podcast. And we have you. And really, I mean, you were the host of that event that you had put together. And I'm happy Kim introduced us.
Yeah.
And, we were able to make this work and have you on the show.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from you.
Oh, I'm glad.
And I think this was really cool.
Yeah, I think we might even have to do a part 2 because I think you're still just full of knowledge. So we'll see. Yeah. But
I'm down to come for part 2. I'm a yapper.
But overall, I mean, I think we can both say this has been really fun. We both appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure, again, everybody will learn something, and you will inspire somebody. So thank you again for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you guys. I mean, it's my first podcast ever, so that'll go
You
down in
did great.
history. I'll remember this forever.
We do have a giveaway. So, Karen, what do people have to do to win this week's giveaway from Tough Techs?
So this one, we will do it a little differently. We will go on to Instagram. So we will post a reel, which will be from Julia's episode. And you can follow, and then comment your favorite part of this episode. And then one of you will be our lucky winner. So, yay.
Thank you. All right. And I think with that, we will see you guys next time. Thank you, Julia, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Be sure to follow us on all our socials. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Pinterest. Thank you to our sponsor, Tough Techs, for supporting the podcast On Air with LA Balloons. Tough Techs is known for their high quality balloons, unique colors, and for being trendsetters in the industry.
Are you a balloon artist, own a party shop, or planning an event? If you're looking for professional products, better service, and faster shipping, then check us out at laballoons.com. We carry all of your favorite balloon brands, silk flowers, party supplies, equipment, and more.